So yeah, it started recording automatically there.
Great.
Make the list.
Not Mary.
Yeah, please do.
All right. So we are live, and here there's Danielle.
Welcome, Danielle.
We're not muted then, right?
We're not muted.
Don't say anything bad.
I don't know their best behavior.
That's right.
Oh, shoot. I'm talking to a girl that steps outside very often. Oh. Yeah, North Star, I think, used to be Well, it used to be Five Star. Yeah, so they own all that stuff.
I know, yeah.
The men's is huge. I've never even seen it. That's in Shakopee or Savage. And then Chaska's got inpatient, outpatient, sober houses.
So are you working with men and women?
No, just women.
Just women, okay.
Yeah, I'm working at the house where they're doing inpatient.
Oh, at a residential
Yep. Mm-hmm.
house.
Yes, house.
How many women are in the house?
17.
Oh, that's a lot of women in the house. Is that a big house?
Yes, huge. It used to be the old city hall.
Oh my gosh.
And I drove up there, and I don't like antique stuff, but here's these two big houses, and the one on the right is the sober house, but the left one is where they have treatment. And I walk in the door and I went, yes, it's gray and white and plastic and glass, and I love all that modern stuff. Beautiful.
Wow.
Beautiful. They've only been there since like January or something. I mean, in that facility.
17 people. I am going to
It's a big house.
welcome everyone here, and we have just a couple more who are going to come in, and then we'll get started. We're just running a little bit behind.
Not bad.
Well, but a bunch of us are here. So what did I say? Yeah, we go end at 11.
We have plenty of time.
Okay.
So you meet with them on the weekend, Mary?
Huh?
You work with them on the weekend?
Yep, Saturdays and Sundays during the day.
What are you doing with them? Are you taking them on outings or?
No, I'm not. We're not leaving the property.
Okay.
But
So Danielle wants to let me know she
I'm
doesn't
the only
have a camera.
I'm the only person there on the weekends. No counselors, no anybody. So people come in and out of my office, and I'm out there with them, and we're watching TV. And yes, I could, but they actually have a driver, so they take him to church on Sundays.
So can you go to meetings with them?
Can I do it?
Go to meetings with them?
I could, but they have them all scheduled, and then they have in-house meetings.
Okay.
Yeah,
Even on the weekends?
Yeah,
Wow.
yeah, it's really well run.
Oh, that's awesome.
So surprised. I mean, I was expecting it to be nice, but
Right.
it's a real clean operation.
So
What's the age range in the house?
Boy, everything. Probably my youngest is like 22, and then there's a lot late 20s, but there's a lot in their middle 30s, 40s, a couple 55-year-olds.
Okay, guys.
Nice.
We're going to start. Okay. We've got two missing. Hopefully, our two other participants will sign in very shortly, but we're going to go ahead and get started. Welcome to the first of our 2019-2020 Friday Forum series. And we are excited that you're all here. This is the first time that we're doing this in a remote or in-person format. We do have several people here, and we also certainly have our guest speaker, Yussuf, and we're excited to move forward. Let me just tell you a couple of things. You are all muted, so we can't hear you. If you do want to talk, please look at the bottom of your screen, and you'll see a little microphone with a red line through it. Click on that, and you can talk to us. The other thing that you should know is that we have a chat function down at the bottom, and so if you would rather ask a question that way, you certainly will. I'm monitoring the chat box and can get clarification, and Yussuf is pretty flexible and would be happy to take a break and answer any questions. So I think I'm going to turn things over. When we get close to the end, we plan to be finished at 11. I'll have a couple of remarks to close us out, and we're going to go from here. I'm going to turn over the reins to Yussuf.
Awesome.
You let me know when you want your PowerPoint.
Sure. Wow, this is really awesome. Technology is amazing. So my name is Yussuf. I'm happy to be here. every time I get the opportunity to educate folks about working with the East African populations, I get really excited. I'm all about educating folks, educating clients, educating providers, families. So I'm excited to be here. I guess a little bit about myself is I came to the U.S. when I was about 12 years old, and came with my family. My sister actually got here before us, and my sister got here before us, and she sponsored us. And so we came here to the U.S. back in around 2000, and I was about 11 years old. Moved to Burnsville, Minnesota, where I still live, and it was I had to learn, go to middle school, go to high school, learn English, learn everything, and graduated from high school. And around September 11, 2001, 9/11 happened, and I don't have to tell you about that. You guys know the history, and it's been kind of hard to be a minority, especially for women. A lot of race things going on, and a lot of issues. Until today, believe it or not, it's even worse today. So it's hard for a lot of women that cover or that wear the hijab. So part of my job is to educate folks about these things and how we can work with people. So went to high school, went to Embry Hills, got my associate's degree in human services. Always been passionate about mental health and addiction. We had the struggles in the community, but nobody talked about it. It's like a taboo. You don't talk about your problems. We come from a culture where everything is like, it's really important that you don't share your issues with other folks. Like this whole idea of talking to a therapist and going to see a counselor is not something that's common for us. So I've always wanted to do that. So I got my, after I went to Embry Hills, got my associate's degree in human services, and then I went to Metro State and I got my social work degree. And always been passionate about working with folks. In our neighborhood, we always had this guy who always had alcohol problems, and he drank and he caused a lot of problems, but nobody talked about it. Like everybody just kind of like, we all had that crazy uncle in the block, but nobody said anything. I was like, I'm going to find out what's going on with that guy when I grow up. So I did that and went to school. Then I got my master's. I went to grad school for my social work at the U. And when I was in grad school, my sister called me and she said, hey, we should open a Somali restaurant. And we did that. At first I was like, you're crazy. And then she was like, no, we should do it, blah, blah, blah. And we did that and started a restaurant in Burnsville that actually I learned a lot about business and how to run things. There's a lot of logistics. People are very tough when they're hungry, they're assholes. So I learned about customer service and patience. After a year of doing that, we got a call from the Star Tribune, and they're like, we liked your food and stuff. This is in Burnsville, and they're like, we're going to feature you in the Star Tribune article, which kind of gave us a lot of business. And the first year we didn't make money, and we were working so hard, 12-hour, 15-hour shifts a day. Restaurants are not easy.
Mm-hmm.
So the restaurant took off and it did well, and I said, this is good, but I'm not very passionate about this. I went back and looked into the needs for the addiction and mental health in the community, so I decided to open Alliance Wellness Center, which is an MICD outpatient, and we have 12 beds of lodging now, working with predominantly Somali men, providing services for MICD. So that's what I do on a daily basis. I'm an LADC also. So that's a little bit about myself. And then the opioid crisis that's going on in the community, we have a lot of issues. I'm going to a funeral today. We lost a 20-year-old young man the night before. I think this is the fourth funeral I've been to this month. And a lot of them are opioid deaths. So the opioid crisis is really, and fentanyl and carfentanil is kind of getting to the community, which is pretty sad. We're opening an outpatient MAT clinic as well, in Bloomington. So, and that clinic is open to anyone. So it's just not for Somalis, it's open to anyone. We do Suboxone and methadone. And we do have mental health also. So if you have any clients that need that services, let us know. A little bit about the PowerPoint. We can get to the PowerPoint now. I'm not sure how these things work, but I got help. So
Mm-hmm.
we can get to the PowerPoint now.
Yep.
Can't see it. Slideshow on the right. Keep going.
Yes,
Going to the right.
I can do it. I can do
Okay.
it.
Good.
This part I know how to do.
The green, there it is.
Start from the beginning.
There we go.
Yay. This is the mouse, right?
Yeah, you've got the mouse.
I mean to go left or right. Oh, here you go.
Yeah.
So at any time, if you have a question about how to get a hold of me, this is my cell phone. You could always call me, leave me a voicemail. Email is a good way to get a hold of me as well.
I sent these to everyone. Too.
Oh, you did.
So
you
they
did.
have
and you do have this. So if you have any questions about anything, just let me know. If you work with a Somali patient or a Muslim patient and you just consult, let me know. I'd rather have you ask me questions than assume things. So it's important that we educate our folks about these things. So a little bit about today, we're going to talk about the country of Somalia. Why do Somalis come to Minnesota? What are some general interaction? What are some facts? And then also, what are the issues that we have in, especially when it comes to MICD? And then what are some of the work that we do in our alliance to help these folks? So I wanted just to give you a map of Somalia. It's located next to Ethiopia and Kenya. After the Civil War, a lot of Somalis either went to Kenya or Ethiopia. So people might speak multiple languages because it's like the neighboring countries, Ethiopia and Kenya. And Somalia is, I was young, I don't remember much, but what I hear from my mom and dad and my grandparents and grandma and older generation is that it is a beautiful country. It was a beautiful country. It still is. But the Civil War, when you go through a Civil War, it's not an easy thing to come back from. It is equivalent to San Diego, California weather, 75 degrees, blue sky. I know. Why do we come to Minnesota? I'll tell you about it later. We had a government issue, like as I mentioned, which I'll talk about in a little bit. We elected a federal government back in 2012. The government is still weak. There's still, a lot of things happen once in a while here and then. The capital city is Mogadishu. One thing I wanted to put an emphasis is the nationality is Somali. And when you're referring to people as Somalis, there's no such a thing as Somalian. So sometimes people will say, oh, I'll get a DA or I'll get a Rule 25 and say, client is a 21-year-old Somalian male. We don't have such a thing. It's either Somali, you could say 21-year-old Somali male, female, whatever, There's not a word. I don't know what Somali means. So I want just to put that. You've all been trained. If I get you a Rule 25 and I see that, I wouldn't know who you are anyway. Population is about 9 million. Again, the language is Somali, Arabic, and English. And religion is 99.9% Islam. People practice Islam. So how did the government collapse? A lot of this stuff is politics, and I don't care for politics or politicians, so I'm going to just go through it quick. There was a city called Hargeisa that was bombed in 1988. In 1990, the president was forced out. And these dates are still debatable, 1990, 1991, I don't know the exact time. And then the Civil War broke, basically. It's kind of like a lot of horrific things that happened. Have you guys seen the movie Hotel Rwanda?
Yeah.
It's basically the same thing. A lot of people were forced to leave their homes. People were murdered. Women were raped. Robbery, people got robbed. Most people stayed in the refugee camps. People were shot in front of their loved ones. A lot of horrific things. There's a lot of trauma, which we'll get to later. A lot of PTSD. People had guns. Other people had guns in their head, and if you said the wrong tribe, boom, your brain was exploded right there, and it's pretty sad.
And the war was between whom?
Two tribes. Two tribes, two big tribes that were fighting. It was all about power, greed and power. I mean, it comes down to that. I mean, anywhere in the world, it doesn't matter. Even in the U.S., there's a lot of power. I mean, it's power-driven. use power, use politics. And it's the Tutsi and Hutu, I think. Hutu,
There you go.
same thing.
Mhm.
Same thing. I mean, it's a lot of similarities. So yeah, people just like neighbors. People knew each other for 20 years, and their neighbor got influential because they were from a different tribe. Yeah, it was just a lot of hard. People had to flee, walk for days without food or water. Yeah, it's just a lot of horrible things. Millions are homeless. The UN and the Red Cross are still providing aid, but you can't serve a whole country. These are some of the refugee camps. Imagine living here, and then you come here in the U.S. And this is some of the refugee camps in Kenya. One of the main refugee camps. So people live here, and it is a lot of adjustment for people when they come here. They have a lot of stuff going on. It takes a while to adjust. So we're very privileged in this country. I want to just put that out there, and a lot of us don't understand. Like people say, well, why don't we just send them back where they're from? Or, all those stupid comments. And people are coming here for a better life. Just like anybody else, if your country was going up, upside down, you would, took care of your family and left too. So people are coming here for a better life, just like anybody else. This is a kind of an interesting topic in the media right now between the immigrant and the refugee, and those are two different things. So the thing about immigrants is there's a lot of disparity between the two, and the media love this, especially my Fox News friends. A lot of this thing about immigrants, people have to go through a process. This whole extreme vetting bullshit, and people just don't get a plane and get here. They have to go through a process. They do literally get extreme vetted. They go through a whole process. It is a privilege to come in the U.S. And usually people that come here are the ones that have money, unfortunately, or the ones that have people that it can cost up to 30 to 40 grand to come for one person to come to the U.S. Lawyer fees and having connections. So it's not an easy thing. You might get lucky, and then where a church might sponsor you and stuff, but it is like 1 to 100,000 or something like that. The numbers are very slim. Immigrants usually have a choice. They have time to plan for the settlement. They usually can bring their entire family. They are more likely to adapt quickly because maybe they lived in a bigger city. Keep in mind that Somalia is a big country. It's like here in the U.S., people, that live in Minneapolis, St. Paul, might be very diverse. People might come from a small town that's 5 hours away. It might be a different experience, right? Just like anybody in the world. So they usually come from a big place or a big city, so they can, when they come to the U.S., they're more likely to adapt quickly. They can also return back to the country they came from. Where refugees is they usually have 6 months to a year to go through the whole process. They have no time to plan. Oftentimes they will bring, the church might sponsor them, or oftentimes they will bring one person. So they will say, out of your family, there's 8 of you. We got one ticket. We can pay for one person. I'll go through the immigration process for one person. Who's going to be the smartest one? Or usually they'll send the oldest one, oftentimes. And think about that. And then you have 8 or 10 people waiting for you back home. When you come to the U.S., okay, you go through the process. The family will select you as the chosen one, and then you come here, and then you got bills to pay: rent, gas, food, whatever, insurance. And then you have to provide back home. And that's a lot of stress for a lot of folks. And the people back home might think you're in America now, you have all this money. So it is a lot of family conflict. They think money grows with trees, people because a lot of it is, we don't want to spend a lot of time on this, but a lot of it is, there's a lot of this conception of America is great. People watch shows like MTV Cribs, there's a lot of fake stuff people don't know, And then think about this: that person comes here and then they have an alcohol or drug problem, or they have a mental health issue, and then now they can't work and provide, and then that creates a lot of stress for. Actually, a lot of my clients, the same thing happened where they struggle. A lot of the men, especially, they have a lot of issues, and now they have PTSD or anxiety. Now they can't get work, or now they committed some crimes, and then now immigration issue comes. It creates a lot more issues, and people don't understand that. And the thing about refugees is they don't get to decide where they live. So, for example, like a lot of churches, out of all places, Green Bay, Wisconsin, sponsors a lot of people, a lot of churches, and then they might move there. So they might not know anyone, or they might live there for a while. Oftentimes, they move to Minnesota, and so they might stay in Green Bay, Wisconsin, and then about 4 or 5 years later, they become Green Bay Packer fans, and that really bothers me.
It should.
I know. I'm talking to my therapist about it. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, so like people don't know, and then they usually come to Minnesota because why Minnesota?
Yeah, why?
Minnesota is a nice state. You know, when you come here, you have to settle. You have to learn how to be refugee camps. You have to learn the new language. You have to navigate through the system. I mean, you guys all know how to do the Rule 25, the CPA, all that fun stuff. It's a lot to process if you don't understand how those things work. Dress code, language is a barrier for a lot of folks. And so it could be a lot of stress for a lot of folks. It could be stressful for a lot of folks. Why do we come to Minnesota? It's not. I don't come here for the weather, I promise. We didn't come here for the weather. Well, Minnesota has a lot of churches that are, it's a rural state. There's nicer to folks. We have a lot of social services. We have labor jobs. There are big companies that actually need a lot of refugees or immigrants that work for them. So they recruit people to come to Minnesota. A lot of those companies are paying these people $8, $9 an hour. Working in the fridge all day, cutting the turkeys or chicken or whatever. And people do want to work, so they might come to Green Bay or they might come to Arizona or whatever, or Texas, then they move to Minnesota. They say, oh, well, Minnesota has a lot of Somali population, which we'll talk about in a little bit. But they have jobs, so they will send them to Minnesota and say, oh, go to Minnesota or whatever. We have a pretty good special ed compared to other places, and we have a very tight-knit community. We like to help our own, so you might have a cousin or a family friend or someone that's here, and then we'll just take care of you. We grew up in sort of like a collective society, so we have this one bottle of water, and a lot of you don't have any water. We'll just kind of share. All of us can share this bottle of water. It's amazing how people are poor, but they live very happy life. Like people might not have it back home. Some people, not all people. There are people that are billionaires and that are rich, but there are people that don't have much. But then we live in the collective society, so we kind of own. Today I have this water. Tomorrow you might get some water. The other day someone else might get some water. So we kind of share this thing. So people know this. Come to Minnesota. There's jobs here. There's this. You can stay with us for 6 days, 2 months, 3 months, and we talk a lot. And we're a very oral community. If your agency is really good and you treat someone well who's Somali, everybody will know about you. And if you suck, everybody will know about you as well. So I wanted just to put that out there. Did you guys know that Minneapolis and St. Paul is the capital of the Somali American community? We have a huge Somali population. Over 50% of all the USA Somalis that they live in Minnesota. All of them that live in the US. Only half of them live in Minnesota, and 95% of them are refugee. I know we did the census back in 2010, but it's definitely more than even 100,000. I would say 32,000 is not much. And the reason why that is again, the census is in the Western thing where you check boxes, you fill out forms. They didn't get to everyone in the community. I know my mom and dad were here. They didn't do the census. So that shows you that there's something off. But again, when we ask for funding and stuff, this is the numbers that they go off. So yeah, I have my opinions about that. Area of concentration. So Twin Cities, obviously, metro area. Rochester has a huge Somali population. Faribault, Otana, Marshall, St. Cloud. I know. My wife is from there. I won't say anything bad. Wilmer and Mankato. And some of these places like Marshall, Otana, St. Cloud, like Wilmer, they all have big factories there. I mentioned that they have jobs, so they literally recruit people to move down. We'll pay for your first month rent or we'll pay for your deposit. Because those plans have, they need over 600 employees or something. I mean, they're big plans and they produce a lot of them. They need workers. And those people usually get $9, $10, $11 an hour.
Are they recruiting through physically going to Somalia, or are they recruiting through word of mouth?
Word of mouth. They go to the city of Riverside. They literally have bands. They have flyers out, hiring, looking for a job. And then people, when they come, especially, they want to provide for their family. So it helps. Sometimes they abuse a lot of these folks. Like they won't let them pray or give them breaks, things like that. Women who are pregnant sometimes can't get time off. So like there is a lot of like stuff that's going on. But yeah, but it helps the community and it helps this corporate. And they know that. They literally hire someone to do that.
And they recruit out of the country too, you said?
No, mostly
Just
here.
here, okay.
Yeah. Mostly here, yeah. You get to learn some Somali. I know, right? And you could say this to your clients or your neighbor or your friend. I swear, this is not like bad words. You can Google them. Someone asked me once, I want to do that to you guys. So you can repeat after me, and the folks that are online. All right. Oh,
Oops.
this one?
If you hit the escape key, then that should bring up, then you go to the bottom right
A
there.
little camera.
And you go to click on that.
Oh, no worries.
Okay.
I want this is I didn't want them to be left out, but
I can take all their.
no, that's all right. No worries.
You can unmute them.
Okay.
You trying to make it bigger, or what are you trying to do?
I don't know. I'm trying to unmute them.
So we can hear you speak.
I think we should just dots.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. No worries.
It will be loud.
That's what happens when not joining us now. So you guys could repeat after me is so how you say how are you is iska
Iska.
waran.
Waran.
Iska waran.
Iska waran. You roll that
You
R.
got it. Iska waran.
Iskawaran.
There you go. You guys got a little bit of accent, but I get to use that again.
Minnesota.
It's so cool. I know, right? Fine is nabad. Nabad. Got it. Thank you is mahad.
Mahad.
Sanid.
Sanid.
Mahad sanid.
Mahad Sanid.
Yeah, got it. You guys are rock stars. And then you welcome is ada
Ada.
mudan.
Mudan.
Ada mudan.
Ada Mudan.
There you go. All right, we're gonna quiz you. At the end. No, I'm kidding. But yeah, those are the 4 words that you could say to folks. So this one, so dogs, so like dogs is not something that in the Western culture, dogs are like pets. You bring them home, they sleep with you, blah blah. We don't mess with dogs, and the reason why that is a lot of animals back home could actually like hurt you and stuff, and they more like they guard your property or whatever. So it's like it's completely different context. Like these animals here are more like different, and people were trying to survive back home. Like they didn't have enough money to take care of animals. But so that's something that's very different. Cats and stuff too, same thing. But the people are more likely to take cats because I don't know if it's cheaper. I don't know why, but we don't mess with dogs so much. So just keep that in mind. And even if you see like families that you walk in your dog and you see yourself like a family and they kind of get scared and run away, don't be. I'm scared of dogs too. I've been here for 19 years. I'm okay with like little chihuahuas and stuff, but like, I don't mess with like big dogs like German shepherds or like pit bulls, yeah, things like that. Yeah, pugs though, stuff I'm okay with. Like so like yeah. Anyway, so keep that in mind. Family structure is very important in our community, which could be good and bad, especially in the treatment. Make sure you have your ROIs because everybody's a family, right? Grandparents are like your parents. Uncles and aunts are like treated like your parents. Cousins are like your brothers and sisters. Everybody is related. And so it's really important that you keep that in mind. And all the families are members of a tribe. So we're a very small community. Like I might have someone that I'm serving, a client, but I might know his sister. There's no ROI. We can't do it. And I always try to tell them, but they don't listen. They're like, "Well, you've known me for 10 years." I say, "Yeah, I don't want to go to jail. I don't want to get in trouble for releasing this client's information." So keep that in mind, that you make sure that you differentiate who's a family, who's not. Because in our culture, everyone is a family. And that could be good, and that could be a problem at times. But we are a very oral community, and everybody knows. People are very nosy, so keep that in mind.
Do they identify with in their own tribe here in the United States?
Yeah.
Okay.
Everyone knows everyone's tribe. Like, but we just don't. Yeah, we know everyone's tribe, but we can't discriminate against someone's tribe.
Okay.
The older people are more racist, I should say, but they're all gonna die off eventually. I mean, it's horrible to say that.
Fair enough.
Yeah. But the kids that were born here, I'm 30, so I don't really give a damn. I mean, I know my tribe is, and that's what tribe is for. But like older folks are like debate, and they're just different. So that needs to change. But I'm hopeful because a lot of young people are educated, but we're also losing a lot of the culture too, which could be a problem going forward. So I'll talk about that in a little bit. Do you know the Somali language was written in 1970?
No.
That's so late.
I know, right?
Was it all Arabic before?
It was all oral.
It didn't write.
No, it was first written in 1970. That's not long ago.
So is there no text of anything in Somali before that?
Nope.
Wow.
Nope. Everything is by word of mouth. Like, there's nothing is in writing. It's like, okay, I'll see you tomorrow. I'm giving you $100,000 for a loan. I'll pay you back. It's a trust-based system. It's not. It's all talking to a lawyer and all
Nothing
that stuff.
writing.
That's all Western culture.
Yeah.
When people say, well, yeah, speak English, it's 2009. It's kind of offensive. We got a little catching up to do, and going to educate. Like here in the U.S., you go to middle school, high school, kindergarten. All that stuff is like a privilege. People that have money or that made it go to school. So it's a privilege for people to do that. And also the English was used in the northern part of Somalia. The reason why that is the British colonized the northern part of Somalia, and then the Italians in the southern part of Somalia. There's a lot of Italian influence. A lot of pasta, a lot of spaghetti, fettuccine, all this. Yeah. So there's it's a big country. So the northern part is English, southern part. There's a lot of influence with the colonization by the Italians and the British. You guys learning some stuff?
Yeah.
So if people were studying like the Quran, they didn't have a Somali text of it?
Nope. Quran is in Arabic. So people.
They were reading it in Arabic, yeah.
Or it was verbal. It was
you could
oral
recite,
tradition.
You could recite it, yeah. Very oral, yeah. Yeah, or I can't stress how important that is.
Yeah.
It is frustrating sometimes when the kids are born here, they don't speak Somali or whatever. We lose an entire generation, which is a whole different ballgame. So this one is one of my favorite slides. So traditional. Okay, so marriage. So I can share my wedding and what I went through. So arranged marriages don't happen anymore. It's 2019. Social media, Facebook, Snapchat, people meet online nowadays. So arranged marriages don't happen. When the oldest, people could hook you up with someone through the arranged marriage. Like they will know the family. You might have a son, she might have a daughter. You guys grow up together. And they say, hey, we know this family. I know this family. Why don't we hook each other up? Hook them up and get them married. I know, which is weird. But if I don't like her, they don't care. Deal with it. So things have changed a little bit. And then I got married recently, so I can tell you what I went through. So you have to get approval from the bride. So I had to get from like my wife's dad. I had to get approval from him. Blessing the mom and the dad. I had to go talk to them. We usually would bring them money. Back in the days, it was like bring them like camels or goats. Nowadays, as the great Randy Moss would say, straight cash, homie. You gotta bring some cash. And then they like to marry within the family also because, like I said, if they know your background, it'll be easier for them to know who you married to. Like again, with the whole addiction and mental health thing, like in the family, they will do some research. Is this guy a good guy? Is he gonna take care of my daughter? Does he work hard? Blah, blah, blah. Does he have a good credit score? I'm kidding.
No credit scores.
They'll check everything. Like literally, does he have any issues? Is he gonna abuse my daughter or whatever? So they like, and then you have to pay a dowry. So like my dowry, again, back in the day, used to be like gold or animals or whatever. Nowadays is money. So mine is like $5,000. So you negotiate a dowry that goes to the bride. I know it's expensive. I have friends, so you pay $5,000. So if tomorrow, knock on wood, if I get a divorce with my wife, I would have to pay $5,000. It's sort of like a insurance contract.
Oh, promise, sure.
To pay her $5,000. So and they will announce that in front of everybody at the wedding. ceremony, like when
Good process.
what do you guys call it? I know, right?
Mhm.
When you guys go to the priest and you say the
Mhm.
whole ceremony, like I do,
Vows.
the vows,
Oh,
same
yeah.
thing. And you say, I Yussuf Shafie is marrying so and so for five, the dowry for 5,000 down payment in a sense. Because now the dowry goes to the woman, and the reason why that is if tomorrow divorce happens, the man, like I work and my wife stays home. Not that that's the case here, but if that was the case back home, especially, the 5K is sort of like a start over with your life. So if you get divorced, the 5K helps to pay the rent, take care of the kids until she gets a job or figure things out. So it's kind of like an insurance policy. I've had friends that paid 8K or 10K, but I negotiated pretty well. I'm like, 5K over 5K, I'm not touching it, But I have one friend that's wife, he paid 10K. And I'm like, dude, you got cheated, man. That's a lot of money. His wife is beautiful. He thought 10K was okay.
So do you pay the money to her when you marry, or do you pay it when you divorce?
Good question. So it's a good question. So it's a lifetime thing. So it's like, so you pay, you the 5K is hers, so you don't you don't have to do it. You can do payment plans. She can forgive you the 5K. After a while, I know, right? I've been working hard.
You're on good behavior.
I know, right? If I'm behaving and doing good, she will forgive me. But the 5K is a lifetime thing, so it could be 5 years from now. We've been married for 6 months. I haven't paid it yet. I'm working for her to forgive me, but I don't think she will. But no, the 5K is hers. She can do whatever she wants. It's sort of if a divorce happens, I have to pay the dowry. So it's a contract. If I break that contract, we might be married for 30 years and we might have 5 beautiful kids, and she may say, honey, I forgive you for the dowry. But the dowry is hers. She can do whatever she wants. She can give it to her mom. She can go on vacation. She can use, she can buy gold, whatever she wants. The 5K is hers.
Okay.
So but if you don't get a divorce, let's say it might take me 50 years to pay, but people like to pay down. Also, there's a woman that when you give them if I give my wife 5K, and she would be like, I'm not taking it. I don't need it, because the 5K is like, if then it will be easy for me to divorce her then because there's no strings attached. So a lot of women might be like, especially the ones that don't have much, they might be like, no, just keep it because that's another thing. But before you think about divorce, you have to really like say, well, I'm gonna have 5K to pay her. Sometimes a guy might bail or something and not pay the 5K. It is so bad that his family will pay the 5K, because once you don't pay the 5K and that goes, that happens, and the word goes out that so and so didn't pay, your next marriage is gonna be hard because the family they will do some research and they will know like, oh, this guy is not credible. He couldn't even pay the dowry.
So you'll be alone forever.
Yeah. So that's why the families exactly right. The families will pay the 5K just to
Clear it up.
Yeah. Very interesting process. It's kind of interesting. Now a divorce. So in the Western culture, you marry, divorces is difficult, is rare, it doesn't happen much. And the reason why that is, like, if my wife and I are having problems, she will bring 3 or 4 people from her family, and then I will bring 3 or 4 people, usually older men or women come, and then they negotiate. They have 4 people who negotiate for 4 people who negotiate for me. They will kick both of us out of a room. They will come to an agreement, and they'll say, what is this problem? Oh, he doesn't pay the bills. He's lazy. He drinks, whatever, blah, blah. What is her? Oh, she doesn't take care of the kids. She's partying too much. She's lazy, blah, blah. And they kind of create a treatment plan for you, both of you. And they kick you out of the room, which is ironic because you got their problems. And the families will negotiate, and then they'll bring you in and say, get your shit together. You're not doing A, B, C, and D. You're not doing A, B, C, and D. And they will sort of make a treatment plan for you. They're like unofficial LMFTs, in a sense. So, and they create this for you, and then divorces don't happen, so people come back together. And so the family gets involved. So it doesn't. Now, if he's like abusing her, or she's abusing him verbally or whatever, physically, then divorces do happen, and then you have to go through. And people don't get to divorce through the court system. Like my wife and I are married, but we don't really. We didn't go to the court or anything, and we don't change the last name thing and all that. We don't mess with that. You have the same name. Yeah. So keep that in mind.
Do arranged marriages still happen in Somalia? Just
Yes.
not as much here?
Yep, it does happen in Somalia, especially if the man is like rich and stuff. So like they will, it's unfortunate, but like it's sort of like giving the girl to him, and then a lot of it is like just finances, making sure that the family is poor, and the girl, he can support her family. You know, it's more of like a business thing, unfortunately. It might work out great too, so it's hard to say, but yeah, especially if the person is rich.
How common is it for Somali refugees here to marry outside of their race and culture?
Ooh, $1 million question. Yeah, it is common.
Or I guess I should say, how
It's funny.
difficult is it for
Yeah,
families to accept?
It depends on the family. Some family, I don't want to say liberal or conservative, but some families are okay. I think as long as the man is a Muslim, it doesn't really matter. But there is a lot of discrimination, especially if he's black, which is interesting.
Yeah.
White men, they're okay with it.
Oh.
Yeah.
But would they be okay? So if the man converted to Islam, would they be okay with it?
Yeah, they would be okay with it. Yep. But there's tradition and things that it can work, but you guys have to be strong, both of you, because it doesn't work half the time. There's a lot of issues. But if the guy is a white man and the woman is Somali, the woman gets labeled more. But if a Somali guy marries a white woman, it's okay. Yeah. Which is bullshit, you know, right? And again, I'm just talking in general, so I don't want to speak for the entire community, but what my experience, which is really backward. If a black man, African American, marries a Somali woman, it's like, no, well, what the hell is she doing? And if a Somali guy marries a black woman, it's also a problem. But if he marries a white woman, it's a little bit nice. Yeah. So there's also a lot of that race thing. It's amazing. Like even in Africa, like if you're more light skinned, you get away with more things. If you're darker, it's like you're ugly, you're dirty, which is unfortunate. But that happens. I mean, that's white supremacy. They did a good job of making.
Sure did.
Yeah.
Worked well.
Yeah. So keep that in mind. You guys learning things?
Yeah.
Good.
Yeah.
Good. Oh, my favorite. Religion. So almost all Somalis are Muslim, most of them, 99.9% Sunni Muslims. So what does Islam mean? Islam means to Allah. Allah basically means God in Arabic. So, I mean, it hasn't been a good time to be a Muslim. It hasn't been a good time to be anyone different than a white man. Even white women are not doing good nowadays. And so I think a lot of it is just ignorance. And people just don't know. Well, you just don't know, you just don't know. And there's a lot of hate that's going around. And there are people that are making a lot of money from this hate. So there's also a lot of that. It's a business. I mean, if you're very smart, you would know. I mean, I encourage all of you guys, or, if you're working with your clients, just kind of get to know them and just educate yourself on this topic. Because people are just ignorant and they just don't know what's going on, but they just listen to Fox News or some idiot. And they say a lot of awful things, which is not true. I mean, any other religion is interesting because Christianity and Islam, there's so many similarities. And there's a lot of stuff in the Bible. I was like, what? Cutting someone's hand? Yeah, there is stuff in the Bible and in the Quran. But it's all about your context and how you interpret things. So if you're crazy, in fact, in Islam, if you take someone's life, it's like equivalent to taking humanity. It's like one of the worst things you could do is kill someone. I mean, any other sin is forgiven, but like so this whole idea of like terrorists and the word Islamic terror, even the media, jihad. It's like, what? That's not. ISIS kills more Muslims than Christians, and the media gets to pick and choose. I mean, like the kid in St. Cloud, he had a lot of money, well documented, well known. He stabbed someone at the mall or whatever. He was struggling a lot, and then he had nothing to do with ISIS, but the label is like a Somali ISIS, man stabbed someone at the mall. Everybody at the St. Cloud Mall, my wife and I, my mother-in-law, she's over there, and when we go there, it's like, people give you that look. It affects a lot of folks. You as a white woman don't have to worry about that, we do. So it's like the media does a really good job of dividing this, and they make a lot of money from this. They create this fear. It's a fear-based campaign.
Right.
So get out of your comfort zone, get to know folks. We're not that bad, trust me. I mean, we as Americans, anyone else. So I just like to challenge folks when they say things like that. So
how do you categorize? So you're Somali, and then how would you make a correlation between what happens in America? Who is ISIS to you? Is it like our bad guys? Like the old-fashioned Harley Davidson created, bad guys.
Good. Yeah, they are bad guys, and they kill more people. Like Al-Shabaab kills, like they just bombed and killed 175 people, like at a hotel, and I mean, a lot of this stuff is politics too, and honestly, I don't know much about it, but they kill a lot of people. I mean, like Boko Haram is killing Muslims and they women and raping women. That's not what Islam is about. So sometimes they use the religion to kind of go through their agenda. It's like this white supremacists are using Christianity and stuff, which is not that's not what Christianity is about. So it's all about context. Yeah, I mean we don't like ISIS, but they use the word Islam. So like, why would they name the media? There's a headline of Islamic State. Like why do they call it the Christian state? When a white man does something, it's like they don't label the whole white people. They just label crazy mental health, lone wolf or something. They will say when a Muslim person does, like a 21-year-old Somali Muslim man stabs someone. That headline is completely different. So it affects us in a different way, where a lot of people do. Just educate yourself about this topic, and let me know if you have any questions. It's kind of a touchy subject, but it's important that people know because it's affecting folks.
Yeah, you said that you think it's that being Muslim, you experience more racism today than you did after 9/11.
I think it's way more worse today. I mean, we have a president that wants to give us IDs and special IDs and stuff. I shouldn't call him a president, but I mean, we have a guy that wants to shut down until he figures it out.
Right.
Good luck. But I mean, what does that say to a lot of folks that that wanted to come to America, but now it's like, I don't know if I want to go there. We don't feel safe anymore. So
only if they gave special IDs to all the Irish and the Norwegians and everybody who immigrated.
Immigration is different now that people of color are coming. It's different. When white people was coming, it was okay.
Well, not
in the beginning.
Not in the beginning, yeah.
Look at me, like, no, it wasn't.
No, it wasn't. But
we all screwed up.
Yeah, I mean, it was more acceptable at the end. It wasn't the same as what's going on today. With the whole thing that's going on in the border, and stuff like that. They need to do a better job creating some policies to help folks. Yeah. Do you have another question?
I was just going to say that all must impact the sense of trauma. If you come with a historical trauma, and then we know that if you experience trauma day in and day out from racism, it's got to impact what you would do as far in a treatment context or living in recovery context, because you've got all that history and it needs to be considered.
It's hard.
Yeah,
it's hard.
You got to educate yourself to be able to deal with that.
Absolutely. And I think that's the challenge, because people don't understand trauma is real, and a lot of us have been through, and we've been escaped, we've been held back, and we're coming for a better life, and then to experience that trauma or someone to call you names. I mean, I've had people, my sisters are nurses, they work for the HCMC. I've had people, say, I don't want the towel head to serve me. And she has better experience than anyone on that shift. It's like, you idiot, she could probably help you. But just judging someone. I mean, we live in Egan. My sister lives in Egan. We had a house egged, and things like that. If people throw stuff at the house. So it affects people in a daily basis. And that's what privilege is for a lot. And it's really important for a lot of you to understand that. Because if you don't understand it, then you don't know what's going on. Because you're not a threat.
Is there an appropriate place for people who are part of the privileged class to work with Somali families, or is that inappropriate, and that we should work at is building a Somali workforce in this area?
No, I think you can be an ally. I mean, we need allies more than ever. We can start by educating your neighbors, educating folks around you, coming to the Somali mall. The mosques do like Ramadan, where we eat together and break fast, just participate, go to events, when we're going for a march or something, just kind of, I think you could just be an advocate. If anything, just educating you. Like if you have that one idiot uncle or auntie, and there are some people that are just going to be racist, and they're like, we don't like these people. And that's okay. You're always going to have those, but just sort of respect each other, I think, at the end of the day, and educate folks about this thing is so important. I cannot stress. It's funny, I have a friend who's a Christian, very well-known guy, amazing. He brings like 30, 40 people from Wilmer to Minnesota, and he brings them to the Somali Mall. And we have tea, and we have some booths, and we just walk around. And people from Wilmer, he brings like 40 or 50 people from the church, and then they hang out for like a couple hours, and then they go back and they have a discussion. And they're like, oh my gosh, everybody at the mall was waving. The kids were saying hi to us. They were so nice. I'm like, I try to tell you.
Of course.
But again, they listen to Rush Limbaugh and
Yeah.
Glenn Beck and all those guys. John Hannity, like that's what they do. So so it's like they just go off what they see. They never actually met these people, and that's what's frustrating. It's like get out of your comfort zone and get to know someone.
Yeah. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
It's interesting that because I feel like you said you won't. I'll say something bad about St. Cloud because I'm not from there. But like in places where there are like so many more Somali immigrants that those neighborhoods are so much more racist.
They are.
But that's where there's so much more aggression and violence when
they are.
you have those cultures there to exist and participate in.
And also I think the immigration, like there's people that go to St. Cloud usually are from like a small town, small village back home. Yeah. There is a growing pain. I mean, it's not easy. Right. People might smell different. People might cook different foods. Like if you're not open to that and you're like, why you smell funny? Why you smell weird? That might create issues for you. Or the schools are a lot of Somali kids. You know, we have a big family. We believe in like, you know, a lot of people have 4 or 5 kids. It's funny. I saw this on Facebook and we can go forward. We could talk about this for hours. But there was this picture in like 5th grade class. And I think I took a screenshot of it. And there's like, I think there's like maybe 15 kids in that class. And there's like 2 white kids. And then a couple of African American kids. And all of them were Somali girls, like girls and boys wearing hijab, whatever. And the comments, someone took a picture of that. And I can probably forward it to you. And the comments were like, are they training little Arabs? Are they jihadis? They're going to become ISIS members? Or like, the comments were just a lot of awful. And this is like 4th grade kids. So it's like shit like that happens. And this was in St. Cloud.
We've got a question online.
Yeah.
It's Danielle's asking, could you explain the ISIS, jihad, and all of those different groups? What are those terms mean and back in Somalia and I think that's what she's saying.
Sure. So ISIS is like ISIS, Al Qaeda, and all these people, like they have different names. They're basically gangsters in a sense. They're like a mafia, you know. We had the mafia back in the day. It's kind of the same idea. So they believe in like, you know, men and women should not be equal. I mean, they're just backwards. I don't know. It's like the KKK, you know. I mean, these guys are just like, they're terrorists in a sense. So they tend to abuse people. And they basically, it's like, say, like small towns, like they'll say, we'll give you money, go blow yourself, go blow yourself up. You're going to go to heaven, blah, blah. And they will give you a family $100K. And this is a family that are like, didn't have food for like 5 days or whatever, you know, like, so people, you know, and they brainwash a lot of these kids. And so it's like, that's not what Islam is about. I think ISIS have hijacked us and put us in a risk, you know? And so like, I'm not associated with them. I don't believe in their agenda. Nobody listens to me, but the media wants to interview the guy that believes in ISIS. Why not interview me? I'm doing well. Nobody talks about us. I mean, we have some press.
Yeah, you were an NPR last
year.
I
was. But like, you know, so things like that. But yeah, like, so it's a big issue in our community, and people are struggling. People are losing their life because that's affecting like the American community.
So if those groups are like gangsters, then a jihad is what?
A jihad is, the word jihad means like to, I don't know, it's an Arabic word. I think it means to like, to believe in something or to die for something. I don't know, something of that nature.
Maybe like a crusade in the Christian tradition.
Something in that nature.
KKK, like the White Knights.
Yeah, something like that. Something in that nature. And so, I mean, the media just used the word jihad, but like, you cannot take someone's life. Like that's a big, like, it's one of the worst sins you could do.
Sin.
Yeah. It's a sin. Like it's like you can come back from anything else, but you cannot come back from taking someone's life. In fact, there's a quote in the Quran that says, if you take someone's life, it's equivalent to taking the entire humanity. So it is really, really like even if the person is Christian, you're supposed to welcome. I mean, there's a lot of stuff in there. But there's also a lot of stuff in the Bible or the Quran that is like, I don't know if I truly believe in this, you know? So it's like, you just have to kind of go with that and educate yourself on that.
Okay. Great. Thank you. I asked Danielle, if that doesn't answer the question, let us know. Okay. And we'll ask again, but you can go ahead.
Okay. Thank you.
Well, and I mean, the like history with ISIS too, is like the U.S. government has worked to support ISIS and overthrowing other governments. So people think it's not an issue of white people, and the U.S. government has supported ISIS. So it's just, I think it's so complicated.
Sure. Yeah, I mean, a lot of it is politics.
Yeah.
And we tend to support, you know. Yeah. A lot of us don't. It's like, it's a lot of U.S. policies.
Interesting. Danielle looked it up on Google, and she said literal meaning is the spiritual struggle with oneself against sin. That jihad is not about an outward crusade. If you go to the literal meaning, but that it really was meant, I think she's saying, from the Quran as one struggling with your own spirituality, and that's very interesting.
That is very interesting. Yeah, it's just like they like to use the word jihad, like, you know, jihad extremists.
They're misused.
Yeah, big time. Big time. Thank you. The 5 pillars of Islam. This is a good discussion, guys. The 5 pillars of Islam: Shahada, prayer, 5 times a day is very important. Charity, you have to give some sort of amount of what you make to a charity. Fasting, like Ramadan, so on. And then pilgrimage, Hajj, traveling to Mecca and Medina once in your lifetime. And it costs a lot of money to travel, so you got to wait until they retire. I am leaving Sunday to go to Mecca, actually, to provide not the Hajj, but the Umrah, which is very similar. So we'll be gone for 16 days. But this is something that you have to do in your lifetime, especially if you can afford it, because it can cost anywhere between $5,000 to like $10,000. It's not cheap, but it's like a spiritual trip, which is important for a lot of Muslims. The 5 prayers, so 5:42 a.m., 1:06 p.m., 4:28, 7:09, and then 8:30 p.m. So you have to pray. And the prayer takes about 5 minutes to do. So if you have a Muslim, I got a call from a treatment center, especially Fridays, like going to the mosque is like a big thing. It's like going to service on Sunday. And someone, I won't say the name of the treatment center, but someone called and said, a client wants to leave, you know, for prayer, but the director doesn't want him to miss group. I said, okay. Should we let him go? I said, yeah, you better let him go, because if he sues you guys, actually, you can't get into uncare like this stuff, like the Center of American Relations, whatever their name is. And they have lawyers that are badasses. So you guys want to get sued, good luck. And probably get in trouble with DHS, because they have to give them a room to pray or give them their spiritual healing. So, but a lot of these programs, some of them are worried about billing for things, which I get. Maybe they should have a makeup day for him or something. But anyway, so that happened. So if a client asks for a prayer time, I would ask that.
Give it
to them. It only takes 5 minutes.
And the prayer time changes. It looks like it changes by day and season.
Location. Now they have apps, thanks to Apple. And we have apps online. And you can Google this, you know, if you say prayer time, depending on where you're at, they will tell you the prayer time. And then the service is usually about an hour and 15 minutes. So it's not like, you know, it's not like a 5-hour thing or something. So it's like going to church on Sunday. So if a client has to get a pass, and yes, there are people that lie, and unfortunately it happens. I used to, don't judge me now. When I was working at TJ Maxx, when I was like 16 or whatever, there's a McDonald's across the street, and I'm going to go take my prayer break, and I'll go buy some cheeseburgers and McChicken. The good old days. I said, don't judge me. So people do that, but I was 15 and dumb, so.
Adolescent is an adolescent.
Adolescent, yep. I mean, I look back now, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? But I wasn't thinking, that's why. I thought I knew it all.
What do the times correlate to? Are they just from the Quran, those times?
Yep, they're from there's like a, you guys use this, what clock, what is the clock time, what is it called, the solar system, or?
Oh.
There's like a lunar.
Or, I don't know.
Well, it's the original sundial. Is what it was.
I don't know what they use. They use something. I don't know these things. It was a good question.
But it's from the Quran.
Yeah. Yep. And these are the Islamic holidays. So there's Ramadan, which we fast from sunrise to sunset. So it started May 5th and it just ended June 4th. So it's about 30 days. And then Ramadan happens once a year. So next year the dates will be different. They usually like subtract 10. So next time it will be around like maybe start in like end of April to May something. So like it subtracts 10, 15 days every year. So there's like last 3 years, it was like in the summer, like it was July, it was, August, July, June, May, April. So I like when it's like January, February, because we get to break our fast by 4 p.m. The sun
Yeah, I
goes
was going
down.
to say, I teach, and
Yeah.
I would say, I teach at Metro State.
Oh, yeah.
And I would say that at least 50% of my class is Somali.
Yeah.
And depending on when I'm teaching, I have to kind of like, when the sun goes down, that's when I have to take a break so they can all go eat something because they're just starving.
You eat from like 5 a.m. to, if it started today, 5:41 a.m. to 7 or 9 p.m.
Mm-hmm.
No food, no water, no sex. Anything that you're supposed to do, you have to refrain for. It's like a holy month. It's like Lent season, but more extreme. And then no, if you're breastfeeding or if it's that time of the month for a woman, you're exempt from fasting. And also if you're traveling, you're exempt from fasting. And also if you're sick.
I was going to say, I've had some students who are not well.
If you're diabetic or if you're sick, then you have to. It's all about you. Islam is about mostly your intention. So it's all about like, what is in your, like if you give it, it's only if you're like sick, then someone you can feed a family that's like don't have anything. So you can send money back home or volunteer at a church or a mosque or whatever. So it's all about your intention. So like, I can't do it, but I will give money to someone who needs it. They can fast on my behalf. So it's all about your intention.
I love that.
And then Eid, which is basically like Christmas for us, right after Ramadan. There's a big one. There's another one that happens on August 11th that just happened. Advice, stay away from Mall of America, Chuck E. Cheese, and all country buffet. Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, and Valley Fair. So there's a lot of families go there. It's like a Christmas where kids like to go out, have fun. People wear their henna, they dress nice. I have a funny story to tell you. I was the Old Country Buffet. This was about maybe a long time when I was in college, and the manager one day was stressing out. And there's a lot of people there, and his cook was sick, and then the dish boy was sick or something. I mean, he was just going crazy. And I said, "Hey, I'll make a deal with you. I said, next year I'll just tell you when Ramadan ends, so that way when Eid is, so you could have enough staff prep, He said, deal. So I called him the day before, and I'm like, hey, Eid is going to be tomorrow, and you're going to give me a free meal. So he did that, and he gave me a free meal. And I did that for, I think, couple of Ramadans. The guy could have just Googled the poor guy, but I got a free meal. I got a free meal. Again, don't judge me, okay? I was young and dumb.
Yeah,
I could have Googled
it.
Oh, it sounds like you're
great.
I was smart.
Yeah.
I knew how to finesse things legal way. But yeah, it's kind of fun. Probably stuff in my life. Let's see. So yeah, I talked about some of these things like people don't touch opposite sex. Like if you're a female therapist or a counselor working with depending you get. I don't want to say Republican or Democrat, but like if you're conservative or liberal, people are most likely to shake your hand. Like if I shook your hand, which I could do, like I'm okay with that because I'm not. Yeah. If an older man or someone like my dad might not shake your hand, he might just pull it. So just be mindful. Don't extend the hand. If they extend to you, then you can shake. But like, don't be like, well, nice to meet you, and then put your hand up. So it's different for everybody. You probably know with your students and stuff. Boundaries, yeah, with them. Eye contact in the Western culture, again, you look someone in the eye.
Not so much.
Opposite, yeah. And then dogs, I talked about that. And then women don't have to cover their hijab or wear their scarf. They just don't have to do that when they're home.
When they're home. Okay.
Yeah. You're not required. And then if you have your husband, like my wife doesn't have to cover, but like if my brother comes, then she would have to cover. If her brother comes or dad, then she obviously not. She's not required to do that.
You had mentioned, someone asked about the dogs again. Is that more about the cost of having a dog, that dogs just aren't thought of as pets, don't make sense?
They're wild animals, number one. And then also, like, as a Muslim, you cannot touch the saliva of a dog.
Oh, so there's the unclean piece. And then there's the tradition of dogs not as pets.
Yep, you can pet them, but the religion piece comes where you cannot. That's a very good question. Whoever asked that question. But dogs, you can pet them, but like if they touch you, like you have to wash, you have to cleanse yourself.
You don't want to have them lick you.
Nope.
And I would guess you wouldn't have a dog.
People like
if you have to pick up after a dog, that must be not good too, right?
I mean, you can pick up to your dog, but like if the saliva touches you, then I mean, I pet, like everyone see dogs, I pet them and stuff, but I kind of have to touch. And if it touches me, then I have to clean myself. Because then dogs are not like clean animal, I guess.
Well, and that would be the tradition, sure.
But people have in the Western culture, you have your dogs lick you and stuff, right?
Oh yeah.
People like that.
Oh yeah. Not me, but lots of people
Yeah.
like kisses from their puppies.
Yeah. Oh.
Like even like little dogs, okay, like these big dogs. No, not so much.
Not so much.
Okay.
But everybody's different.
Hopefully that helps.
Let me know
that.
if that doesn't answer your question, let me know. Food.
Ooh.
I should have brought some for you guys.
Yeah.
Maybe we take an outing.
Next time. We
Field
can do it.
trip.
I promise.
Let's do it.
Next time we're doing this, I'll bring you some.
Yeah, I would love that. Sambusa.
Sambusas are good.
Mm-hmm.
Beans, rice, halal, which basically means kosher. Goat, beef, no pork. Again, pig is the only animal that eats the own shit, in a sense. Do you guys know that?
Oh,
So
that's why you
So
don't
that's
eat
why
pork.
we don't do pork too.
Oh,
No
okay.
pork at all. Yep. And then alcohol and anything that's multi-altrin is forbidden from our our religion teaches that. But I work in the achievement center with a lot of Somalis who are Muslims, so I'll talk about that a little bit. Tea and camel milk and stuff is really common. And then a lot of the Italian influence with the pasta, the fettuccine, the Alfredo, those are big dishes as well. So rice and pasta are like the staple meals. Oh, this is my favorite. Mohammed, Ahmed, Liba. Those are common names. People ask me, someone asked me, how do you differentiate? I say, I don't know. I honestly don't know how to answer that. It just took me a while to figure it out. I had an issue with Bob and Bill.
Yeah, we do too.
What does Dick do with
Short
Richard?
for Richard, yeah.
I know.
I was
That's weird.
I'm like, somebody help me out. So I'm like, figure that shit out. I had to figure it out. I just don't know. But yeah, those are the common names. My favorite part is when my DH license comes. And I give them a file, and there's like 55 Mohammeds. They're trying to figure out who's who. If you can hear me, that's fine. But yeah, and then the Somalis are given 3 names. So they're given name, father's name, and grandfather's name. There's no surnames. So it's like you're given a name, father's name, and grandfather's name. There's no surnames. And women don't take their husband's name. And then wedding rings, like, you have to wear a wedding ring.
And I took mine off.
Yeah, I know, right? I have mine on. I've been here long enough, you can tell. But a lot of people don't wear wedding rings and they're married. So,
I noticed that too.
Yeah.
it's common.
Yeah,
So
a lot of the
my wife
women
and I
that
would do it.
in my class, in fact, I asked a woman just Tuesday, she does the henna on the tips of her fingers
Oh, I haven't seen that.
and not on her hands, but she always has it. It's not like for a specific, and she turned in a paper and I said, is it okay if I ask you about why you have henna on the, she said, well, we can't do fingernail polish. And so, but we can do this. And
If
so
they're praying, they can. If they're not praying, especially when the time of the month, they have their period for that, whatever, couple of days, 5 weeks, or 5 days, then they could put like the nails on. So after that, they take it off.
Yeah, well, she said she
she
doesn't think she can. So this is what she does instead, and she thinks it's beautiful, and it's part of how she expresses decorating herself. But I just thought that was really interesting.
Yeah.
That instead of fingernail polish, she uses the henna all the way up, like to the first digit.
That's true.
Anyway,
That's true. Thank you for sharing that. And then we do not celebrate birthdays. The whole cake and balloon, the whole Western culture. It's not a big deal. My niece and nephews, they celebrate birthday, which is annoying. They know my Amazon account. They know what they want for their. I gotta send them. There's a lot of them too. It's annoying. But and then January 1st is a common birthday for a lot of immigrants. So you'll see a lot of January 1st birthdays as well.
Oh.
We have a YouTube video. It's about maybe 5-6 minutes. Hopefully it works. Dr. Habib is doing some amazing work in Somalia. He's doing a nonprofit clinic, and we've raised him over $50,000 really recently. He's such a great guy. He's doing some amazing work. So maybe you guys can watch the work that he's doing. I don't think.
Do we have to share that?
Yes, you do. We do.
It should be shared. Is it coming up in
It's
yours?
not coming up on.
So why don't you pause it quickly, Yussuf, and then if we go to
Share.
Just so everyone knows, we're working on so that you can see the video.
Yeah.
So bear with us.
Can they hear it? Ask them if they can hear it.
And then let me know if you can or cannot hear it.
We can't.
We can't hear it.
I think I know what the problem is.
Oh, there you go.
Yay.
Ask them if they can see and hear it too.
Hopefully someone will respond. Jake, can you hear it?
No, it's not going, and it's not. There's no sound.
How about that? Can you hear it now?
Yes, there it goes.
I started to walk and move around. Just in no man's land. There's on the night I started to walk and move around. Just in no man's land. There's danger of running into different groups of armed men. So my family chose to bring me to the hospital.
We met Ahmed in a mental health hospital in Mogadishu. He kept crossing the front lines of Somali's civil war at night to visit his friends. It was as if he refused to recognize the fractures in his hometown. Ahmed was our guide at the institution, based in a shell of a building. We were here to try and understand the full weight of Somalia's war. Ahmed lived through 2 decades of conflict that subsided in 2011, but the war wouldn't end overnight. Battles continued outside Mogadishu, and Al-Shabaab launched periodic attacks within the city. The war also continued on in people's memories and hearts. 1/3 of people in Somalia suffer from mental illness, according to the World Health Organization.
Okay. Hiya. What else?
Abab is a nurse trying to reach them. He is treating Ahmed and hundreds of others at the only mental health institution in South Central Somalia.
I'm sure he lost. More every day. It's fantastic, man. Yes, tomorrow. Magic.
With little support and only 3 months of psychiatry training, he has cobbled together his own way of dealing with the war inside.
Abdul Umar Yai. Step. Hey, down the door. Abdul Umar Yai. Zip. My name, Dr. Abdurrahman Ali Awad. My name, Dr. Habib. The mental health situation in Somalia is very serious. Every 3 or 4 new cases admitted.
My parents brought me here because of they saw me that I was talking to myself. I told them every human person they talk to themselves in their heart, but some of them they speak silently. But according to me, I was speaking absolutely. That's why my parents brought me here. Those were talking to them, so this they take drugs or tablets.
Every day here begins with medication.
That's how to check. That's how to check for meds. They don't.
I need to appreciate an Indian man, Mr. Siraj.
Habab told us how a man he'd never met, Mr. Siraji, sent him $14,000 to support the clinic. He says he used to receive drugs from the World Health Organization, but he hasn't had their help for the last 2 years. Now he relies on individual donations and small payments from the families of patients.
I requested to Allah, Mr. Siraj, obtain good health, mental health, physical health, social health, and increase to Allah your economic and financial resources.
In Somalia, mental illness is seldom viewed as a disease. More typically, it's seen as possession. A jinn or demon can enter the body and occupy one's mind. To release the jinn, the afflicted person visits sheikhs who recite the Quran. Sometimes they are starved, so that the jinn is also starved. Habab battles this mindset every day.
Yes. This is normal person. That's a message. Sleeping together, getting together, and talk to him, and like crazy depression. That is increasing the and dignity of the mental ill people or person. Come on. Okay. Hey, man, say they sit down together and confess their significant thinking. They share their crime. No. وحسن سنوات ما سنوات عمرها.
Mentally ill people are often put in chains in Somalia, and Habab has made it his mission to end the practice.
Janet, not able to move his hand, not able to move his leg. 7 years, Janet. That young boy enjoy leadership. Now, he's a normal person. After treated, after any of this, yes. All around to see.
We found in Habab a man fighting a giant, with imperfect tools and unwavering conviction. To be normal in Somalia is to have known trauma. from close up or in the background. And so in some ways, it is the world outside these walls that needs to catch up.
I have Skype.
That's good.
I have Skype with him.
Have you?
Yeah, many times, and he is a man with a lot of energy. Like that.
He said he only had 3 months of training.
Yeah, he's like amazing, doing amazing work. Yeah, those are my clients.
Yeah.
And when they come here, you know, it's unfortunate, but people don't understand what these people have been through,
Mm-hmm.
and it's easier for us to judge them. And addiction and mental health is not something we talk about. Like they say, to live in Somalia is to trauma is just part of life.
Mm-hmm.
So a couple of things. The woman, so like being extra heavy or heavy in Somalia is like a good thing because that means you're eating and you're living a good life. So she said we came here, after we came, we became beautiful and fat. That's associated with like having wealth.
Mm-hmm.
And then the women that kind of fled and try to get a better life, and then the traumatic event where they almost drowned. And, sometimes they're in the water for a day or two. The engine stopped working. It just people try to find better ways to get out of the country. And then postpartum depression, baby after baby after baby after baby after baby, and that happens sadly as well. So people don't even have access to safe water, drinking water, healthcare. People are not trained. It's a privilege to go to a hospital, or malaria is a big one over there.
I
HIV,
haven't heard of the cerebral malaria. Why do they call it that?
I'm not sure. I think it's just like the mosquitoes and stuff they have over there. Yeah, it's different. It's kind of different mosquitoes here than theirs. Those are the ones over there are more dangerous for whatever reason. And then HIV and AIDS are not common. People in practice don't have sex until they get married, or so it's like in the Western culture it's a little bit different, but over there it's like you don't sleep around until
Men and women don't
both.
sleep.
Nope, yeah,
Good.
until you get married. Yeah, common for that. What are some of the issues here? Diabetes, hypertension, mental health, autism spectrum disorder.
Sure.
There's a lot of youth that are struggling. And the University of Minnesota is doing some research on that right now, so we're trying to figure out. And there's also a lot of the city issues, like a lot of the intergenerational gap. Do I want to be Somali or do I want to be American? Kids are battling with, again, I talked about just trying to fit in, and that can be confusing for a 12-year-old. I got lucky, but I have a lot of friends that didn't, got introduced to drugs and alcohol at a young age. Environment is a big part of it. I got lucky again. I haven't had better opportunities to use, and if I did, and I wanted to actually honestly speak it sometimes. And if I did, I wouldn't be here today. It would be a different path. And alcohol, marijuana, opiates is a big thing. Homelessness. And then once you use, then you have no family support. Like people don't, the stigma, people don't understand addiction is a brain disease. I've been doing a lot of education in the community. We lost a kid last night, or the night before, going to the funeral today. Almost all my clients, he's a 20-year-old, almost all my clients need him. This is the fourth funeral I've been, it's this month, September. Tomorrow is the last of September, fourth funeral, fourth kid that we bury in. So it's a big problem. We need to do a better job. We're doing a community education, like Sunday we're doing one at the mosque. We scheduled about a couple months ago, which is ironic, and then we're doing one on Saturday about the death justice place for them to come. Narcan, people don't even know what Narcan is. Mom found him in the bathroom dead, If she had known about Narcan, she probably could have saved him. So, it's really frustrating. We need to do a better job as stakeholders and providers and educate these folks. So we're doing a Narcan training for them tomorrow.
Oh, good.
And at the event on Sunday, when you have the community event at the mosque, what kind of information do you try to educate them about?
Good. We're doing opiate specific for this one. I won't be here, but my program manager, this is the second one we're doing. My program manager is speaking about what addiction is. We have a couple of mental health. We have a pharmacist who's speaking about drugs and medication and how to dispose them. Alliance is doing education on just addiction 101 quickly, maybe like a half an hour what is addiction, how do you overcome it, what is methadone, what is Suboxone, what is Narcan. And then we have a couple of the clients that went through the program that are actually established peer-to-peer support. So they are actually speaking at the event. So
That's good.
last time, one of the clients spoke, and he made everybody cry. It was like 200 people, everybody was crying. So it has a huge impact when someone been through the program. But he's been to 5 different county jails, had over maybe 8 cases. A lot of it was just related to his use. He was the guy that everybody gave up on, that he made it, and now he's reaching out, and he has like 4 or 5 people that are sober after him that have been through the program. So they're doing a lot of this stuff. They came up with this idea to do this events, and we just supported them to provide the food and the space, which is amazing.
Yeah.
I mean, last time he made everybody, all the moms were crying, and he said, "I'm just a 21-year-old, and I just got hooked, and I couldn't go back." And it's very powerful stories. People, and he's a great storyteller. We probably have it recorded somewhere, but yeah, it's amazing stuff. So we're doing a lot of education for the community. There's a lot. I talk a lot about this stuff. So prevention is not something that we do really well. Like for us, it's sort of like just pray, God will take care of it. That whole prayer is good, but also services are good. And then people don't understand like pain, like especially for men, it's known like you're weak if you share your emotions. So it's all idea to talking to a therapist and go and sit down on the couch and stuff.
No.
It's not okay. Excuse me, but yeah, so that happens a lot. And again, the touching thing, you should make sure when you're shaking your hand and stuff, keep in mind that. People have been traumatized. We've talked about this a lot. Depression, anxiety are very common, PTSD. And then now the new numbers came up, and actually 45% of all refugees have been victims of torture. 45%, which is really high. So it's really important that we keep that in mind, that we understand that people have been through a lot. And then mental health is not, like we have a lot of black or white thinking. Either you're crazy or you're not. You know? So it's like people don't understand, yeah, you could be someone in recovery that's doing well, someone who's had a mental health issues, but now is doing well and stable and taking meds and seeing a therapist. Like we don't, it's like whether you're this and you're that, you know? Alcohol, marijuana, opioids, and cot. Those are the main things that we see for us in the chemical health side.
What is cot? I'm sorry, I don't know.
That's a very good question.
I don't know that. Thank you.
I knew you would ask that.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah,
Well, here's the next slide.
You're welcome. So cot is actually a Schedule 1 drug. It's a cathinone, and it has it's like a stimulant. It's a stimulant, so it kind of gives you like lots of appetite and euphoria. It is socially acceptable back home. It looks like it's kind of green. It's like spinach. It's not good for you, I promise you. But it is true. It is illegal and socially acceptable. It's like in Somalia, people chew it all the time, and it's kind of like it's just a happy hour after work. That's what you do. You chew cot, and it can create a lot of issues, family issues. It can get you really high. You can be up all night chewing it. You can get addicted. But the old people, older generation, will tell you, oh, it's nothing. But the cot they used to make before and the cot they make now is different. In the sense that this one is more fun and more dangerous. So
it's just something that's grown.
Just like marijuana, it's more potent. Why is cot acceptable but other intoxicants aren't?
I don't know. It's just like alcohol is acceptable in the U.S. Like people just say, "Oh man, you can't hold your liquor." You know, let's go for happy hour. All that bullshit is the same idea. I don't.
But it's not a sin. Cot it might be social.
Technically, it is. Yeah, anything that's more altering is sin. Yeah.
Okay, so that's still not okay
like,
with the Islam.
No, it's not.
Okay.
It's not. Anything that you harm your body is not. In Islam, is like your body is like anything that harms your body. Yeah, it's the same idea. Yeah. Your body is like a loan, so you have to take care of it. You have to breathe. You have to watch your mouth. Or you can't backbite, and you can't. Like you have to eat healthy. I mean, you have to do all these things. You have to help others. That's what Islam is about. But people do that? No.
That's right.
So that's
human.
Human, exactly. Exactly. There's a lot of stigma associated with that. The religious piece is like, you're not supposed to use, especially if you're a woman, you're removed from the man or woman, removed from the house. Like you can't come from the family. How dare you you put a family name down, blah blah blah. You know, there's not really much resources. And then women have even hard time because now you're a woman, you're Muslim, you're Somali, you're black, and you're using alcohol and drugs. Like, how dare you? So it's really
A lot of shame.
yeah, a lot of shame, a lot of shame, a lot of stigma associated with it. That's why people don't seek out help, unfortunately.
Right. So if you, let's just say it, tell me if you think that if you were able to have just a Somali treatment facility, and would that, and people would come to you and you'd go through the normal ways of diagnosing them and helping them, would that stigmatize too much to have just a Somali treatment, or would it be the better
Good question.
odds, and then you would have to find a way to integrate after?
Good question. Everybody's different. Like for us, we've been around for about 4.5 years. I think the first year people were skeptical, like, and then half of our staff are Somali, and that's really actually really amazing. People talk, like right now I got 3 missed calls from people, and we have like 4 people in the waiting list. So it's like once the word gets out and you're doing good, so people will know. Again, we're all a community. Like if Wayside is a really good agency and you guys are treating people well, people will know about you. If you suck, by the way, you have a really good reputation for the most part. You guys are really good. But a lot of it is like any other treatment center. You know, people know, and the community talks. So if you guys have known to help women with children. When I think about a client with the women, I'm like, oh, Wayside, you know, like, so it's the same idea. So yeah, once you build that trust, I think you'll be fine. But yeah, there are people who be like, I don't want to see the Somali guy, which is, I mean, if I was struggling with addiction, I would, you know, think about where I want to go to. But once you build that trust, yeah, you're good.
Okay.
Do you, so in like the 4.5 years that you guys have been around, where do you see, like, where do clients go next for support groups? Like, you know, AA is so white and so male dominated. So what support groups do Somalis go for recovery?
If they give me $1 for this question every time I do this, yes, I have talked about this, and we have started our own AA Muslim-based alliance. So we do the we have support groups and meetings. You are right, AA is so wide, it's 12, 12 step, 13 step for some guys. But yeah, I think a lot of it is we try to do that at the office, and we have clients come inside. We have clients from UA and other programs that come. You guys are welcome to invite. It's men. Usually it's men and women. Men and women come too. So it's an open group.
And it's at Alliance.
Yeah.
And it's both genders.
Yes.
Because it's like if Somali community here is so like people are so well known amongst each other, I would wonder, it'd be hard. It's just like in a rural community.
Yeah.
How do you go to a support group if you are trying to be private about your recovery, but the community is so small that you walk into a room and people would automatically know, oh, Lucia's in recovery, I'm going to go tell my sister.
I think by the time people want to go into meeting stuff, they know what the issue is, and I think they want to seek help. And they want to come to a place that's safe, and we make sure that happens.
Are there meetings outside of the Alliance that they feel comfortable going to?
They have their own home groups. One of the counselors goes to some meetings, and some of the former clients, she'll still meet them there and stuff. So yeah, there are other opportunities. They go to 2218. They go to a couple of meetings.
And so mainly AA?
Yeah.
And how about those other areas where there are Somali concentrations? Like, do they have groups support in St. Cloud or in Rochester or Owatonna?
Nope. We don't even have treatment centers there.
Yeah.
Okay. So there's work to do.
Yes.
I have to tell my students.
Yes.
Because they're all human service students. So.
Yeah, tell them. Keep in mind that, like, for us, like, we don't have words like stress and stuff like that. So a lot of people don't understand, what stress is. People, like, we tend to give you, like, the hospitals will give you, like, discharge summaries, and, like, they will say, here's, your discharge summary, follow up in 4 weeks. Like, forget it, we're not going to show up in 4 weeks. We're more like, we have to call the day of the appointment or the day before, because again, this whole idea of calendars and planning things, 6 months ahead. We came from a community, it's like collective society. You can just go to your neighbors, go in there and just grab something from the milk, from the fridge. It's like, in the Western culture, everybody they have their own little yard, and if you actually transport, I can shoot you. You know, all this stuff is like it's not something that's very common. So just keep that in mind. And then also using your index finger, like if I'm gonna call someone and I do this, it's like very, very disrespectful. So if you could refrain away from that, you can call someone by their name and say, "Hey, but doing this is really not something that's very. It's like belittling someone or calling you a pet. So just keep that in mind as well. And then medications too. People tend to take medications and then they need to explain. You have to explain what the medication is. People are very paranoid about injections and stuff. And then also symptoms. When you're doing DA, people get misdiagnosed. Sometimes Rule 25. Make sure you ask specific questions. And a lot of people get misdiagnosed because they're very general, like, you know, and people believe in practitioners or doctors or whatever. So, like my mom, she would exaggerate, like, "Oh, my back is killing me. I haven't slept for 2 days. And you were snoring last night." You know, like, so things like that. It's really important that you ask specific questions, like, where does it hurt? Like, back, upper back, lower back, you know, things like that. And then this whole idea of, like, cultural framework, I think a lot of it is just ask. I mean, that's the secret recipe. You just ask. What you don't know, you just don't know. Say, "Hey, in your culture, you do this. Why is that? Can you tell me more?" I think people are willing
Like
to.
the fingers.
Yeah. I think a lot of it is how you ask. You were like, "Why do you do this?" Versus like, "Hey, I'm curious. Please, can I ask you a personal question? Why do you wear the scarf in your head? Like, what is that all about? Can you educate me?" I think people are willing to tell you rather than like, you know, you assuming why they do that. And any question, and you can always text me or email me or call me too if you have a client you're working with that you're struggling with or need some help. So Alliance, what we do, so we have Rule 25 assessments. We can do outpatient. We have 12 beds lodging. Men, we have day program and evening. So the evening and the weekend, we have evening and a weekend program. And I think you guys have sent you some referrals. The evening program is open to anyone. This is not the Somali specific program or East African program. The evening is open. It's Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, 6 to 8:30 p.m. And then we have a Sunday program too, 8 to 2 for people that work or want to step down after inpatient. So keep us in mind for those referrals. And we also have relapse prevention group. We have the Lalaja I mentioned. And then the domestic violence and anger management program, and here and there we get referrals. And we also started MAT, Alliance Wellness Clinic is our next door neighbor, is the MAT clinic. So we have methadone and Suboxone as well. So, any questions, comments, concerns?
Wonderful. If you can either use your computer and go in and unmute yourself and ask a question out loud, or type it in and I'm watching and I will communicate it for you.
I just have a question.
Thank you. Can I have your card?
Yeah.
If like in becoming allies for the Somali community here, what's a good way for us to find out about events and like ways that we can show up or participate? Like, there's a Native American listserv that we can sign on to. Is there what's a good way for us to find out about events and things that are happening in the Somali community?
I don't know about events, but I think if you Google, there's like a Somali resource list. I'm sure if you can Google it, you can find it. There's like a lot of events that happen in the Cedar Riverside neighborhood. I think Facebook has a lot of events. I think if you can just look it up, I'm sure you can find some things. I don't have a place where I could send you to, honestly.
Okay.
Yeah.
Do we have anyone who has a question from our online audience? Oh, how is it possible to help in their country? Are there professionals that go there to help people who are in Somalia?
Yeah. We actually, I got invited to go back this year, but I couldn't. The Somali Health Ministry contacted me. There's a couple of therapists and a psychiatrist who's in Ohio, who's in Somalia, went back to help Dr. Habeb and a couple other people. Once in a while they will reach out to us, and then we go back to help them with medication or to do training for the staff that are there, because the staff don't have much training. Kind of teach them what
do organizations like Doctors Without Borders go to Somalia, or
that I don't know.
I'm just wondering. And then when they do, I'm gonna guess they probably aren't doing mental health and substance use kinds of things.
No, they're not. Good question. There are agencies that do a lot of work, like helping the community and do a lot of social work stuff, but I don't think that's so much of mental health.
So what are your thoughts on, in the Somali community, on harm reduction then?
Oh,
good
good
Especially
question.
completely abstinent space.
I like harm reduction. Some people don't like it. We are harm reduction. I mean, we do look in that model. It's really important for people to understand. A lot of people don't understand what addiction is. I mean, let alone harm reduction or abstinent based.
Yeah.
So just kind of educating folks about those things.
Yeah.
It's really, really important. But yeah, I'm all for harm reduction. Some people might not. It's like this whole idea, well, they shouldn't just drink it in the first place. Like,
Right.
it's not that easy. You know? So educating them about that is very important.
I noticed that your lodging is for men only. Are there any residential or lodging places for women in the Somali community?
Yes, there's the one that I've been helping them for a while. They started, but I don't know if they're up and running. I think people were trying to get a hold of them, but they're having issues. So I don't know.
They're not ready yet.
I don't think so.
Okay.
You know what
I
location
think
they're
they were
sitting at?
in Minneapolis.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think Tom Turner probably sent an email the other day about it. You can maybe ask him. Tom Turner from Hennepin County. He's a clinical health supervisor. Tom Turner, you guys don't know what that is?
Oh, yeah. He's doing a presentation for the Peer Sport Echo on Rule 25 assessments.
Oh,
In the future?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Okay.
ask him because he manages a lot of this stuff. So I think that you can call him up and see if they can get a hold of it. It's called like MABS program, I think MABS. So try to find them.
Because that would be, I'm thinking, how much need do you think there is? Like, do we need more facilities for women?
I mean, I've thought about that opening them, but we don't see enough. I mean, we get 2 referrals every 6 months or something. So it's really
would it be more advantageous to take a place like Wayside or in one of the other places that work with women and make sure that there's a place to pray and that people have the appropriate training so they knew it would be a safe and...
I think that would be a great idea. If you guys could maybe add a location or something, it would be not a bad idea.
And it would be okay if Somali women and women of all other kinds of cultural backgrounds were together.
Yeah.
Right.
But it's just they can't be with men.
No, they can't.
Okay.
And even if you do like East Africa, like there's a lot of women from Ethiopia or Kenya, I think you would be getting out your flow. Even if you have, I don't know what your bed capacity is, but like if you do a house or something with 6 beds or something, 6 to 8.
Oh, an outpatient too might be helpful if it's
Outpatient.
always all women working
outpatient,
there.
Yeah.
Okay.
We do get referrals for outpatient for our evening program, not our man program. The evening is co-ed, so they do get mostly like not Somali men. There is all usually Somali women is doing the outpatient program.
Because they've got kids and they've got
Yep.
So that's another thing. If we were friendly and educated, we could maybe be of service in the community. Okay.
I think it's a great idea. Yeah.
Any other questions online? Well, I want to say thank you to everyone. I think that I've learned a ton, and I hope that it worked well for everyone online. We will be sending out a survey to give us some evaluative feedback. We'll share that with Yussuf, and also that's where you indicate whether you would like continuing education certificate, and it'll be emailed to you, so you can put it right in your professional development file online. I want to just say that next month, our Friday Forum is on October 18th, and the title is Gray Matters, Understanding Co-occurring Depression and Substance Use Disorder in Older Adults.
Yay.
So we're going to be talking about working with seniors, and Kay King will be here, and she is a community educator with NAMI, Minnesota. So please, Kay King, please share, if you thought this was a good experience, share it with colleagues and let them know that they're all welcome to come. If you have ideas for future events, we're happy to take those. And I think there's a question on the survey that speaks to that. I'm going to ask one more time. Any other questions? All right. I want to thank you all for being here, and I hope you have a wonderful day. We'll be in touch with you shortly. Bye.
Everyone. Oh, you're gonna go. Sure, I can do it. Just X out.
In October, is it going to be here again?
Yeah, they'll
Okay.
all be here.
And Jake said, thank you, very informative. April said, thank you so much for this presentation.
Thank you.